Hi there, everybody. My name is Stuart Wood, and we're here for the CMW sessions. And we're joined by Paul Cook, who is the executive producer of MPI's EMEC 2021, the European Meetings and Events Conference, which is happening virtually this year. And we would like to hear a bit more about how that transition is taking place and what the program looks like. So how are you doing today, Paul?
I'm doing really well, and thanks for inviting me on your show. Delighted to be here and to answer your questions, but have a bit of a chat really about what's going on in the world of MPI and EMEC in particular.
So what does the program look like for EMEC? Can you give us a bit of a run through?
Yeah, sure. So this year, not unsurprisingly, because of the impact of COVID, country lockdowns, all of those kind of things, the decision was taken to make this a virtual one-day event. It's going to run for around 8 hours or so, but there will be plenty of breaks in there, so don't worry. And the idea is that basically we're running on the 15th of June, and there will be a mix. There's going to be a mix of different sessions. Some are going to be immediate nuggets, takeaways, practical takeaways that people can come along, take what they need, and put it into immediate use. And there's also going to be a number of sessions which are much more deep thinking. You know, what's going on with me personally, what's going on in the industry, where do I go from here? And that really is because of the theme. The theme of the event is Make Your Future. And it's very much around this idea that we have to take control, accountability of where we are right now, because we've had a number of months where we've been probably moaning about things that we can't do, things that we can't influence, through no fault of our own, and we understand that. But I think you can only do that for a certain amount of time before you do have to say, enough. This is a pack of cards that we've been dealt. How are we going to deal with this hands that we have? And that's really the essence of this particular meeting, is to give people not a sense of that, but also to say, right, come on, time enough, let's brush down and let's start. So in terms of the sessions, there will be a number of sessions that are there for everybody. And then we then have 2 tracks, one for business development and one for personal development. So people can pick and choose out of those tracks what they want to do. And then we will also have some sessions that come in at the end of the day, before we link up with Las Vegas, which is where the World Education Conference is coming from. And then we have a link up with them. And then we will have a preview of the next EMEC, which is just going to be around the corner in February in Brighton. And then we'll have a close. So it's what we're doing is we're going to the members in the chapters. We're talking to them about the content. Because otherwise, what's the point of putting on an event if you don't know what people are, what's keeping them up at night? So that's very much what we're looking at now, and also taking some of those ideas and also embroidering them with other kind of high-level things that need to go into any particular conference. So it's quite I'd say it's packed, but in a way that people will be able to be doing different things so that they don't have that fatigue that can come in easily from just doing session after session after session and not really thinking about what's going on in the user's kind of experience.
Definitely. I went to the last couple of EMECs actually in The Hague and in Seville last year. Actually amazing that was last year. It was February 2020. It was the last thing that happened before lockdown. I think if you'd have told me during that event that would be the last event for over a year, I'd have been quite sad. But what kind of challenges do you think there are in adapting what is quite a hands-on event? I remember in Seville we had like a kind of treasure hunt thing where they give you a map, and obviously we can't do that in a virtual format when we can't meet in person. So what kind of challenges are there in adapting that kind of style of event?
I think one of the biggest challenges is almost in terms of helping people understand what a virtual event and what a virtual production looks like, because it is a different event, as you know, to an in-person one. So that means that you need different considerations. What you're really doing is you're making much more of a kind of, you need to be in a kind of TV mindset or a radio show mindset when you put these events together, because they really are productions. You know, we have ways for people to get involved, and some are going to be more taxing than others. Some are going to be fairly straightforward. So we mix everything up so that you can get involved. The worst thing we could do is to try and replicate what an in-person event does, because it doesn't work. It ends up in failure. We've seen it time and again, not only in the last year when virtual events have been dominant, but also in a number of years prior to this, where people have experimented with what can work and what can't. And I think one of the things that we're going to tuck into and get involved in is really understanding what's going on with virtual events. What is the science behind the online, if you like? Because some events you can go to, you can look at for many hours, no problem at all. And others, they suck the life out of you if they're not done in the right way. So we're going to have a look behind the scenes on what's going on there, what's going on in the brain to bring those things about. But challenges, helping people understand, knowing that the clock is always against you because time goes so quickly on a program. It's like watching the news at 6. It starts at 6, finishes at 6:30. There's nowhere else to go. You've got that span and no more. So working with presenters and briefings and making sure that they're all fully aware of how they impact is another key consideration.
And do you think that networking is one of those kind of key things that people kind of have different expectations of when they come to virtual events? How are you going to kind of facilitate networking during EMEC 2021?
Well, I'm not going to give that away to you right now, if you don't mind, just because we're still working out some of the options that we have around that. We've got some interesting ideas, but I think people's perceptions of networking are really interesting, not only when you go to an in-person event as to what that might be, but also when you come online. There are a number of different tech platforms that will basically say, yeah, come over here, it'll be amazing. And then you try it and it falls over because you haven't got the right bandwidth, you haven't got the right photo that you upload. You know, so there's a whole extra degree of technical things that can get in the way. But also I think there's a big etiquette issue as well, because online networking needs to be done in a way that it doesn't feel as though people are being pushed to one side. They don't have a voice. So some people really enjoy it, and those people may typically be people that would also enjoy it at in-person events. But there's also a huge number of people that say, I don't want to network with anybody. What I want to do is I want to get specific appointments or meetings with people that attract my eyes. So for people that are more on the kind of the introverted personality scale when it comes to networking online, then having the choice of not getting involved is really big. So I think you have to be super careful with how you position it and how the choice goes. I remember there was one event that my wife was attending, and the facilitator basically said, right, put on your camera, put on your audio, we want to see you right at the start. I was like, no, I'm not even ready yet. You can't, behind me, it looks terrible. So I think networking is even more of a consideration that you need to be aware of when you come to put these into online programs. Because if you believe that you can just translate what goes on in person, in-person events, and say, right, that's going to work virtually, it won't. It's the same argument as that this is a great in-person speaker, fantastic on stage, but then they fall over when it comes to virtual because they're just not used to looking directly through a camera, through a webcam or whatever. Or they're not used to sitting still. They might want to move around. They might want to do all that. It doesn't translate. So that's my key.
Definitely a different ball game, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that future versions of EMEC might incorporate a virtual element or a hybrid element?
Yeah, I think definitely there is a lot of we're in a lot of discussions at the moment on that very issue, because what's obvious to associations such as MPI is that if you've had virtual delegates for the last 15 months and they've been coming to virtual events, if you were to say, okay, we're now doing in-person events, goodbye, and not have a hybrid option with that virtual component, you'd really be shooting yourself in the foot. So, you know, they're really super conscious of that. But more than that, they've also worked out as well that there are some activations, some products that can be launched purely virtually. You don't need to get everybody together. So I think it's much more of a tool in the kit bag of event planners that we're seeking to get through and use for whatever their clients need. Clients don't always, necessarily know, I want this type of event or this type of event to help me. What they do know is what they want to achieve. And it's our job as event professionals to say, okay, let's have a look at what your overall strategy, what the outcomes are that you want, and let's figure that out. So this, whilst it might be a bit of a baptism for some people, and maybe not everybody likes it, we understand that, but it does give you a lot more than just here's an in-person event. That's kind of the only choice on the block.
Definitely, and I'm sure that your time has been quite preoccupied with EMEC recently. But are there any other projects, either professional or personal, that you've been working on during lockdown or in recent
absolutely
months?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I started putting together a whole set of notes around how you can do these things, and I'll be releasing some courses later on this year, which are very much hand-holding courses, and nothing to do with getting a certificate or anything like that, but purely these are the kind of things that you need to think of as a speaker and be doing. These are the things as an event planner, so I've got those going on. But we have been really at full stretch for a number of clients. And the reason that's been really good on a number of levels. I think why it's been so busy is because people forget just how much time virtual events take to put on. If you're going to do them properly, then you do need to allow sufficient time, as you would for an in-person one. And what happened was, towards the back end of last year, people started to get the idea that actually, let's do an awards, let's do a virtual awards. But they all want them at the same time. And then you have issues over tech crew and kit being available at that particular time. So there's a real education going on, and being able to talk to you about these kind of events and what we're doing really helps with that.
Definitely, and hopefully people begin to realize they can't just copy and paste what they already had, but it is a whole different ballgame, and you do have to play by the new rules, I suppose. That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you for joining me today, Paul. Very interesting to hear your thoughts on EMEC and virtual events.
No problem. My pleasure. Thank you.